Welcome back to our TimeMD video tutorial series. We are completing our setup for our demo account. We've finished steps 1 through 9 and are currently on step number 10, personnel and employees. As always, if you have any questions regarding any of the previous steps, please feel free to stop this video, go back, find the video that you need, and then come back and join us when you're ready. For now, let's go ahead and get started. We are currently looking at the preferences screen. This is where we can see which steps have been completed and which ones have not. As you can tell here, on number 10, we have our red X implying that nothing's been set up yet. So let's go ahead and click on that and get that finished. So, like with some of our other modules, the system recognizes that nothing's been input and will take us right to the input screen, in this case for employees. And here we're presented with a number of fields. Now, a lot of these can be filled with simply with default information, where others does require some input from yourself. So let's go ahead and just go through some of these and kind of give a brief idea as far as what's being asked and why it's being asked. So of course, starting with first name and last name. Just like with any account, we do need to know who it is. So let's just go ahead and put in someone's name. For an email address, we do highly recommend that you include an email address with each of your employees' accounts, simply for the ability to recover a password. That's really the only way of doing that. Otherwise, you would have to reset the password if an employee asks. Now, if they do not have an email address, that's fine. All we ask is you click this box right here, and the system will know to ignore that step. You have the ability to upload a personal photo. That helps just make it a little easier to track who's who. You can override what time zone that employee is in, so this is helpful if you have offices spread out across the nation or through different time zones. That way, that person will always be tracking time relative to their time zone. In this case, we won't have to worry about that. We'll just keep it at the default setting. We want the account to be active. Now, this is an important field to consider. Many times people ask, okay, what do I do with a termed employee or someone who may be leaving the company? The active field, if you set it to deactive or inactive, that will not term the employee. Now remember, we're not necessarily trying to keep employment history in our system. We're simply trying to keep track of their time. So the inactive and active status field will either prevent them or allow them to log in to their account. So as long as their account is active, they can log in. If you do not need them to log in any longer, select inactive. We'll always keep the data for you. You always have record of it. That will just prevent them from logging in. So we want that to be active, and next you want to assign them a login. This will allow the employee to actually log in through their own browser and their own interface and view various aspects of their account. So for sake of this demonstration, we're going to go ahead and assign just a random username and password, just for sake of ease. Grant manager access. If we want this employee to have management functions, you would select that field, and then we can talk more about that here in the manager tutorial. And on the right hand side, we do have some additional fields. Employment details. When was this employee hired? Let's say they were hired today. Employee number. These are important fields for any kind of exporting of data. So let's just do 001. This person is not salary, so you don't have to worry about setting an override. Seniority date would be useful in situations where you may have a different date that needs to be applied when doing, for example, day off accrual calculations. So for most of the time, you can ignore this field. Overtime status. By default, we do not exempt or overtime qualified. To be safe, you of course can override that to no overtime. We'll leave that at overtime qualified for now. And then we can specify where this person is working. Now the system will list everything we've input so far. So since we've only input one location and one department, we only have one entry to select from. And then next we can select the shift. We'll just go ahead and say, okay, either nothing or let's assign this person to the morning shift. Now as you can see, that is not a required field, so it's not necessary. Finally, we have some quick fields to fill out here at the bottom. Pretty much everything you can leave as default. We'll just do that for now and click Submit Form and create associations. And we have a chance to review, make sure everything is right, everything has been set up correctly, and we're good to go. We can go ahead and select a new person and create a new account if we want, or we can view all of our personnel. And we're good to go. As you can see, we can list all that data, and we can see that all of our steps have been completed, and therefore our account is now active. We have access to all the other modules in the system. So, as with all of our tutorials, if you have any questions regarding this particular step, please feel free to email us at support@timemd.com, and we thank you for your time.